You know, when you walk by that kind of rather good-looking man or woman at the pool that smells of suntan oil.
I'm usually the good-looking man or woman, so I don't know what he's talking about.
Yes, he does go to a pool that's at an old folks' home, though. Currently, that pool is very empty.
It is. It's a lonely time for me.
But the suntan lotion, that's what.
Yeah.
If you're looking at the suntan.
We digress. Hello and welcome to Cellar Rats into Cellar Rats once again. It's a show that's made by winemakers, but you don't have to be one to understand what the H we're talking about.
And what might your name be?
I'm Jesse Inman.
And I'm Aaron Inman.
And today we're going to be talking about none other than canned wines.
I think it's brilliant.
Right?
I mean, I'm active, I'm gesturing with my hands, and I don't feel restricted. I mean, if I was holding a wine glass right now, I'd be spilling wine all
It
over
would
the
get
goddamn
everywhere.
place.
At Lucky Rock Wine Co., which is us two,
Yeah.
we love canned wines. Affordable, crushable, portable, recyclable. Been told that's good for the planet.
Indeed. But are they any good?
We're going to find out. So the first experiment today is going to be tasting two wines from similar growing areas, similar price points, basically same price per ounce. And we're going to see if there's any differences, which one we like more.
Yeah, and then we're going to taste 5 different canned wines and kind of do the same thing. It's a twofer today. So basically seeing if canned wines, if you can tell the difference between a bottle and not, and then assessing canned wines in general.
Quality. Okay, for experiment number 1, we are going to taste 2 Chardonnays from the Willamette Valley. One of them is Ava Rain, and the other one is Just Enough. One of them is in a bottle, one of them is from a can. We don't know which is which, but we're going to use our sniffers to find out.
Yeah, we were kind of excited to try some canned wines, and I think this is the first one Erin came across, and so we'll stick our nose in there and see how she goes. Okay,
All right, so wine, you want to go into wine 1 first?
wine, sure.
Wine 1.
Smells pretty good. And actually, this one, I'm just guessing, is the canned wine because it has just a little bit of effervescence, and a lot of times they'll put a little bit of spritz in there to keep the can from getting soft.
Yeah, the turgor in the can.
Yeah.
I called it something else in prison, but
You turgid me timbers.
it's got
the
some
smallest-
minerality.
Another thing that backs up the can is sometimes, just like screw caps, you have to be careful with reduction. But this is interesting. Yeah.
It doesn't have any like tinny qualities or any can qualities.
Yeah. I agree.
And it finishes with like a kind of a nice toasty kind of pie crust butter.
Yeah, there's
butterscotch.
definitely some wood on it.
Yeah, it's well made wine. This is going to be wine number 2. Has some nice minerality. Also has a little bit of dried pineapple tropical.
Yeah, got a little malolactic, a little buttery, a little creamy, a little oaky. So I think these have similar qualities to them, although I find this one a little bit more pleasing.
If I didn't know that one of these was from a can, I would think these were both from a bottle.
Yeah, there's no reason to believe it's from a can.
Yeah. I think on this one, it wasn't that hard. I'm going to say wine 1 was from the can.
100%. First of all, because of the slight reduction and a little bit of effervescence, but those are the real telltale signs. Otherwise, I don't know if I'd be able to tell that one over the other was from a can, but there were some little notes that I guess winemakers can kind of pick
The
up on.
fruit on number 1 was also just a little bit like fresher, almost like Sauvignon Blanc-y, a little more aromatic that way, that I think maybe the can helped preserve some of that.
Yeah. Hey y'all, if you're all still watching, you want to give us a subscribe, that'd be sweet.
If you found us funny, informative, entertaining, none of the above, just like to waste your time, shoot us a like, share, subscribe to our channel.
Yeah, and then also you can join our newsletter for updates on, we pump out all the content, blogs, emails, etc., promotions, so that's a great way to keep in touch.
And you never know, maybe we'll be canning a wine.
We actually are. So first off, we're going to try Nomatica. This is a Chardonnay. Aaron came across this when searching for cans, and maybe he'll tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so today we're going to be tasting a 2018 Paso Robles Organic Vineyard Chardonnay. Nomatica is a 100% can brand. It's Sommelier owned. It's female owned. and their whole thing is like bringing you higher end wines in can, which is a couple years ago would have seemed like an oxymoron, but now is a little bit more relevant. It runs about $20 a bottle. So, anyways, let's give it a try. I've had this wine one other time when I ordered it to just open it up to see how it tasted.
But got just a little bit of reduction on it. And I think when people say reduction, they automatically think bad, but reductiveness can actually be beneficial to the wine. Sometimes it's too stinky, sometimes it's nice, but sometimes it helps maintain freshness. But it has a little bit of reduction, but not in a bad way. It almost makes it come off like minerality. That's surprisingly good.
Has a little bit of like kind of dried papaya, kind of dried tropical fruit on the finish. It's nice wine. I think, especially once that little bit of reduction blows off, which it blew off here in a couple minutes. Super tasty for the price. Great single serving option. This is about a glass and a half,
and that's the cool thing about canned wine is if you don't want to smash a whole bottle by yourself, there's 1.3 glasses ish in a can, give or take.
Yeah.
But they're about 8 ounces. So this is just enough Chardonnay. Aaron's gonna do a little description about it.
We used it in the first experiment between can and bottle, but we're gonna talk a little bit more in depth. So Just Enough is a company out of San Francisco, only canned wines, only buy it on their website. Female owned as far as I know, which is also the Nomatica is female owned, just kind of an interesting side fact. This is from the Eola, Amity Hills in Willamette Valley. It's also a 2019 Chardonnay, and we tasted it earlier, but we're gonna give it a little sniffy sniff again. And this runs about $6.75 a can, or roughly $21.75 a bottle. And like we said earlier, I mean, it's pretty tasty Chardonnay. You know, it's got a good nose. It's got a little bit of oak, a little bit of tropical, a little bit of minerality, some herb.
So next up, we have the Weston Wilder. This is they make a few different wines in can. They make a white, a rosé. Do they make any reds?
Make some Pinot.
Make some bubblies.
Make some bubbles.
So this was a friend of ours made the wine for a while. Is she still making the wine?
I believe she still makes the wine. Yeah, it's owned by two gentlemen. Nice guys. I actually think of Weston Wilder as one of the first people to kind of pioneer higher end wine in can.
I agree.
They've been doing a good job with it for quite a few years now.
These all have had just the slightest hint of reduction to them, but again, I don't find it bad.
And it's not uncommon because of the basically the inert environment.
Yeah, and so you would just, if you have a reductive wine, you just give it a little air.
Give it a little air.
I like that. I mean, it has some like minerality. It has some fruity
A lot
components.
of peach in the mouth.
Yeah, it's not over the top.
Yeah, it's good. Actually, the first time I ever had canned wine was probably about 4 years ago. It was in Tahoe during the summer, and you couldn't have glass at the beach in Tahoe City. And so we smashed up to the local Save Mart and bought a 6-pack of cans and had a very enjoyable day.
And that's ultimately why I like cans, is because you can hike them in, hike them out. You don't have to carry a bottle with you. I mean, we're canning our first wine in about a month and a half, and I'm really excited just from a personal standpoint because I go rock climbing and stuff, and I just want to be able to shove one in the back of my pocket when I'm walking down, and if I want to de-stress at the end of the day, I'll have a can in my pocket or in my bag that I don't have to worry about.
And that was the market for cans in the very beginning, was that portable, hey, I'm camping, I'm at the river, that's the whole thing. The nice thing about like Just Enough, Nomatica, Weston Wilder, they're saying, hey, we got that portability, but now we're also putting a little bit higher quality wine in there, and there's a single serving option to it that's really nice. Like the can is just the vessel for the wine to a certain extent, and so it's portable. It's got all those things that we just talked about. You know, you can have it at the beach legally with, because it's not glass, but it's also got some, at your home on Monday night. That's a perfect glass and a half worth of wine. You don't have to waste anything.
Yeah.
Now we've tried white wine, we've tried some rosé. Let's go into Just Enough's Pinot Noir. Now this is to me is newer. The aromatic whites, white wines, rosés make a ton of sense for cans. What is newer is having a little bit higher end red wines in can.
Right. And so this is a Pinot Noir
from Edna Valley, which is San Luis Obispo.
That's got quite the nose on it. That's my favorite so far out of the wines. Which normally I've had a red wine out of a can before, and it can be a little bit reductive. It can be a little this, it can be a little that. This one's phenomenal.
There's no reduction whatsoever. It's got a lot of like cranberry, red cherry fruit right off the bat. There's some really nice texture on this too. We've talked about in the past how we like Lucky Rock one of our kind of our hallmarks is we like that silky texture on it. This has a really nice texture.
Yeah.
When
If you have a recommendation for a red wine wish you can, throw it in the comments because we'd love some feedback for this kind of stuff. Would you like light and fruity? Would you like heavy and tannic? I would imagine light and fruity, but I'd really be curious to see what you guys think.
Yeah. So we won't go too much into same ownership, same labels, all that as the Chardonnay. But I do got to say that quality,
Really good.
actually pretty impressed and a little surprised. To be
Yeah.
honest with you.
So kind of like we were just saying that light and fruity is a little bit better for cans. This is a heavier version of that. It's going to be the least expensive option that we're tasting today. So it works out to be what, $11 a bottle.
And it's the OG of the canned wines. It's called House Wine. Charles Smith started this brand. Shoot, I don't even know.
Me.
Thank you, sir. 15 years ago or so. It's owned by a company out of Washington State that's larger now. This wine's actually from Chile, which is kind of interesting.
Helps keep the price down.
Yeah, especially at this price point. That's a half a bottle of wine.
That's been my issue with. I'm willing to pay a little bit more for a wine that's quality. I don't necessarily just need wine that is cheap so I can drink it. I want wine that's inexpensive, that's good, so I can drink it. So I do have a little bit of it. And then Charles Smith has always done a pretty good job. And so as long as the winemaking's held up with this new ownership, I would imagine it's at least par for the course.
The wine is not bad. It's definitely a drop off in quality that we've had to this point. It finishes pretty green, which you get with a lot of Chilean reds.
I'm getting some like leathery, almost green beanie.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's just interesting, maybe out of a can. It
Yeah.
doesn't have reduction, which is nice.
No, it's not stinky at all. It just has a little bit of those like underripe notes to it.
Yeah.
And it's just a little bit more. You can taste that somebody didn't love this wine as much.
Yeah, but if you wanted to just have this wine to pack in to take camping, this is a good alternative to the bottle because I would imagine it's pretty similar to the bottle. The wine quality might not be right up my alley, but if you're more in tune with drinking an $11 bottle of wine, I'd be more than happy to go this route.
Yeah, and it's not bad wine. It's just not at the caliber of what we've had.
Just doesn't get me excited right here.
This was informative. Like I think that today's episode basically allowed me to confirm the trend that canned wine quality is increasing.
Yeah, I'd say if we had 5 different bottles of wine in here, we'd probably love to like one and maybe not like one. And it's just kind of the same mix as if bottle can. It seems like the wine quality is par for the course, can versus bottle.
Yeah. So anyways, I'm happy to see this happening. These are an option that is awesome for portability, recyclability, single serving options. Just kind of versatile. And one thing that I do like a lot about these two is it's kind of getting people to pivot their brain a little bit. Inherent in a bottle of wine, people think, I gotta like age this. Most people don't, but there's still that kind of that thought there. And this kind of flips that on its script and says, no, drink these now. Like these are, let's keep them fresh, fruity, bright.
As a matter of fact, you do want to drink them now because the shelf life's about a year for them.
So this is by far, I think we agree, that's pretty darn outstanding for the price. Arguably here, these are all quality. You're not going to have a problem here, I don't think. No. Here, it's not bad, but if you're a little bit of a wine snob, you might not find that up to your palate.
Par for the course, we'll end the episode with our favorite wine in glass, and we'll give them a cheers. I learned a lot today. Considering that we're canning wine, I haven't drank a whole lot of canned wine because there's not that many options, so it's really fun to try them all side by side.
Yeah, and I think we learned there's not a massive difference between the bottled wine and the canned wine in today's experiment, but there was a slight one.
Yeah.
And then as far as the canned wine quality, I think we learned that the canned wine quality is really starting to step up its game.
Yeah, and don't be confused. If this is a $6 can, that translates into an $18 bottle of wine. If that's your price point, $6 can, right where you want to be.
Yeah, and then you don't got to open that bottle just on Monday night and stretch it out for the week. You open a can on Monday, you open a can on Wednesday, you open a can on Friday.
You have just enough wine.
It worked out. It's like you have just enough wine.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
See ya on the next episode.